Meet the public, medical mitigation, and recruit reenactment. All this and more as the Stafford Weekly News starts now. Welcome to the Friday, February 2nd edition of the Stafford Weekly News. I'm Randall Williams. Stafford holds a town hall meeting every year, and 2024 was certainly no exception. Let's peek behind the curtain and see what makes the event tick. The last week in January brings with it Stafford's annual State of the City Town Hall.
Because this is the time to explain to the people in Stafford what we are doing, what our plans are going forward.
This is the state of the city. It's really important so that the mayor can give his vision and goals for the coming year and give the council direction as to what we should be focusing on. So it's a real important landmark for us to really focus on what direction the city is going to be driven.
Of course, there is a lot of preparation that goes into such an event.
Probably I would say a couple of hours, more than that. Not today, I started a few days ago, and then at that time I was doing for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. Today, I didn't finish it yesterday, I finished only today.
Well, not just the speech writing either. The technical setup actually starts 2 days earlier. And there are many, many moving parts behind the scenes.
Anxiously awaiting to see what the mayor has to say, but you know, as everyone knows, the city is tight on funds, so we have to maneuver carefully and use the funds as well as we can. But that's something that is of concern that I hope that we can put a little focus on.
Which just leaves breaking down the equipment and putting it away until the next live remote. For Stafford Weekly News, this is Randall Williams. Did you know that January is School Board Appreciation Month? SMSD certainly does, and they turn out to make their board feel special.
It's my pleasure to introduce some of our folks, our little people that will be coming up today. We are especially happy to celebrate National School Board Month. We so appreciate each of you, the time that each of you dedicate to our school district with no pay.
In Stafford, whenever we do this work, we really celebrate our folks because they do an outstanding and tremendous job, because we're the only municipal school district in the state of Texas. They don't just have the regular school board meetings that other folks have. They also have these joint meetings with their city council colleagues in order to make decisions about what's going on in their school district all across Stafford. So that's what our month is all about.
And we all wanted you to know that we do love you, as you can see by the shirts, and hope you enjoy the small tokens that we have provided for you in your gift bags. And if you don't believe me about how much we love you, Let's hear it from those that matter most, our little ones.
We had our special call board meeting on Monday, and we were celebrating Board Appreciation Month. This year's theme is locally elected, community connected. And we had a full house, and a lot of our early childhood students were there, elementary representatives from all of the schools were there. And basically what they were there for was to say thanks and give appreciation to the school board and the trustees. And you know, being on the receiving end of praise and accolades is kind of puts us all in a bad position, because that's not why we serve. And so it was very humbling, and we appreciate it. But really, it was more about us giving appreciation back to our community, to our teachers, to our staff, for all the wonderful things that they do. We just set policy and serve, but it's really an opportunity to just say thank you to the board for their service. But most importantly, we're serving our community. So it was kind of humbling and awkward for us, but we really appreciate it. And the highlight of the event was seeing the young kids that were there singing and giving us thanks. And I was fortunate enough to have my 3-year-old daughter there that was in attendance, so that was very special.
Medical Miracles, next.
You can try, but you won't find another city like Stafford Tech.
Serving our community just like you like it.
Taking care of you and your home since 1945.
We believe in STEM to learn and STEM to earn.
We're heading into college certified and career ready.
As a former student of Stafford, I take pride in keeping our classrooms safe.
We are Stafford, we are one.
We told you before how a local child's life was saved using new medical technology. This week, his story continues with some speculation about what this technology may mean to education.
So my son was born in November of 2017 at 23 weeks gestation, weighing 1 pound and 11 ounces in weight. Literally could fit in the palm of your hands if you tried to hold him at that time. It was a very hard journey. He ended up spending a total of 150 days in the neonatal intensive care unit, or NICU as we call it for short. And he had to endure quite a bit. From birth, he ended up being diagnosed with grade 3 and grade 4 brain bleeds, which ended up, despite several interventions, did not resolve and ended up causing him to contract a condition known as hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus, also known as water on the brain or fluid on the brain, is a neurological condition that is very rare. If I'm not mistaken, I think the CDC labels it as 1 out of every 300,000 people in the world have have this particular condition. And essentially what causes it is the cerebral spinal fluid that builds in the brain. For someone who's hydrocephalic, it fails to drain along the spine. So my son ended up developing this condition and ended up requiring a medical intervention called a VP shunt, a tiny device implanted into his brain to help get the fluid to drain from his brain down the spine and into his stomach. The benefits of the device, when it comes down to educators are concerned, I can see that playing a much larger role in the future of education. At present, we're now, thinking about the implications of artificial intelligence and how advancing technological products are playing a role in education. I can only see devices like the CTOT also playing a similar role, particularly for children with special needs and other disabilities that can create limitations for them when it comes down to academic growth. So when it comes down to the CTOT device, one of the benefits that I think educators will be able to appreciate is how, just like for doctors being able to make certain moves as far as what would be the best benefits for a particular patient, I think that the same could also be said for students. If we are able to understand how a child's brain is developing and also what types of interventions are needed medically to best support that student, then the possibilities for intervention as far as instruction is concerned is limitless. Just thinking about in particular the prognosis of my son and how certain moves were made by his physicians and specialists in order to better serve him when it comes down to educators are concerned, I can see that playing a much larger role in the future of education. These boxing gloves were from my uncle, his great uncle, just as a gift to symbolize that he is a fighter.
Did not see that coming. Next.
In Stafford, diversity is not just a number, it's who we are.
When you are here, you become part of the story.
You can sleep well knowing we're always on the job and looking out for you.
It's a great place for growth and opportunity.
Tradition starts here.
We teach your children and we stick around for your grandchildren.
We are one. We are Stafford.
This is the city of Stafford, and we are one.
Most people probably associate the George Ranch Historical Park with the American West and cowboys, but they also do more modern history, as Henrovy Nathaniel found out when he visited and wound up in a foreign invasion.
We're out here at the historic George Ranch, and today what we're doing and who we are, we're actually living histories. I command the 5th Viking Division, which is German. We also have allies out here. We represent what took place during the Second World War. We are historians, and we like to show what took place at that time. So my rank is actually what they would call a Sturmbannführer, which is the equivalence of a major. And we have the group. Later on they'll be doing training as well. And we are doing this to educate people, to be able to show up front and personal what took place during the Second World War, an event that will never be duplicated ever again in history. So your grandfather, your great-grandfather may have participated with that. We do this to honor them. Not very far from here, and on the property, actually during the Second World War, was a POW camp. So Germans that had surrendered in North Africa or Italy would be transported here, and they would actually do work on the ranch. They were treated very well and actually earned money and privileges while they were a guest of the United States government. So that ties into what we're doing here.
So we are with the 5th SS Viking Texas Living History organization. What we just did was a small squad assault on a fixed machine gun position. So we started off in a patrol column, and when we saw the target, we formed into a wedge formation so we could have field of fire on the target. And then once we got ready for our assault, we formed into a line, and at the command of the squad leader, we dispersed into flanks to overrun and kill the target.
Also, as you can see, we have a German Shepherd here. Why do we have a German Shepherd? During the Second World War, the Germans, the Americans, the English, all of them used war dogs. She represents what they did. They would guard installations. They would be able to take care and find wounded soldiers out in the field. They played a very important life. And the thing is that we still use war dogs. All the way from the First World War up to Afghanistan and Iraq. They have saved thousands of lives.
Probably our area's best kept secret is Brazos Bend State Park. Convenient and beautiful. Sean Pettit paid a visit and brought us this report.
So Brazos Bend is turning 40 years this year, and so we became a state park in 1984. We are in a very special spot in Texas along the Gulf Coast that is in a lot of different migratory birding patterns. So like if they're going south or north back home or for the winter, we're kind of in that sweet spot that we get a lot of different birds, over 300 species of birds. Not to say any other parks don't get a good variety of or collection of birds, but you know, we're kind of unique in the sense of our flood, aspect of the river, the prairies that we have, and then just the variety of wetlands. And I don't think any other parks offer this much diverse of wildlife. So that kind of is what sets us apart from some of the others. We are 5,000 acres of combination of ecosystems. So you got your bottomland hardwood forest, which is basically subject to floods. And so the Brazos River is our eastern border of the park. So we're kind of supposed to be flooding. So that's one aspect of our park. And of course that diversity of ecosystem attracts all kinds of diversity of wildlife. So that's one of the things that people come out here for. So on top of that, you have the wetlands as well. And if you can imagine, alligators is our #1 apex predator that people want to come out here and see. And then aside from that, we have prairies as well, so obviously a very sensitive ecosystem. So there's not many in Texas anymore as far as along the Texas coast. So we have a pristine prairie in our park. And so a lot of those different ecosystems, the different wildlife it attracts, a lot of great photo opportunities. And then of course we have over 30 miles of hiking and biking trails that people can kind of go through each one of those ecosystems and kind of get a different experience. And we also have camping, we have shelters, water electric campsites, and if you're just looking to set up a tent, we got the spaces for you. So the funds that are gift shop in the Nature Center, that is actually entirely ran by volunteers. So a lot of that money that goes into that shop stays in the park. We get to do things like buy trail material specifically for the park. And of course our volunteer organization, there's no way we can be successful without them. And so they contribute to a lot of anything that we need with other kinds of purchases and things like that. So they're actually one of the biggest volunteer organizations in the state. And so it's definitely something that we like to brag about as far as us being, kind of special from other parks, is that we have a very, very active, a very large volunteer organization.
So these are live oak trees, which are some of the biggest varieties of trees that we get out here at Brazos Bend. This one here we estimate is probably about 275 years old, which sounds pretty amazing, but what's even more amazing when you think about it, when this tree was right here, right in this spot, exactly right here, 275 years ago, when it was hatching out of its acorn, it was in the country of Spain. That's right, here at Brazos Bend. So this tree hatched out in the country of Spain 275 years ago. So this tree has been in the country of Spain, it's been in the country of Mexico, it's been in the Republic of Texas, it's been in the United States, it's been in the Confederacy, and it's been back in the United States. So these big trees out here have been in 5 different countries and haven't moved an inch. We just keep changing the names and changing the borders.
There's a volunteer organization page, so brazosbend.org. And then that's our volunteer organization webpage, so there's means on how to donate for them and things like that. You know, in Fort Bend County, one of the biggest, diverse counties in the nation, and that's the one thing is that you can certainly go on a trail and hear several different languages being spoken at the same time. Something we take pride in, and we know that those people are visiting, and we're here to serve everybody that comes out, and we hope that we're creating stewardship. We want the next generation of park rangers and care about this place just as much as we do. So.
Sure, Brazos Bend State Park is beautiful, but even a walk in the park can be hazardous if you're not careful. Fortunately, there's a trained staff that can tell you what not to do.
So here at Brazos Bend State Park, we get about 250,000 people a year through this park. And there are certain dangers that you can come across here in nature. And one of those is venomous snakes. Most of the people that get bit by venomous snakes get bit by their own fault. I mean, most snake bites in the United States happen between people's fingertips and their elbows. Because they see a snake, they try to catch it, they try to kill it, they try to move it. If you just leave a snake alone, the chances of you having a negative encounter with a snake are really slim. There's a few common sense rules you need to follow. If you're out here walking around at Brazos Bend or even in your neighborhood park, put on your shoes, put on your boots, wear your tennis shoes. Keep your eyes, don't put your hands and feet anywhere where you can't see them, okay? If you're walking out here, stay on the trails. Don't go back through the tall grass, don't go back feet in the bushes, stay on the trails where you can see where you're walking. If you're kicking a soccer ball or tossing a frisbee around and it goes underneath the bush over there, is it a good idea to reach under there and feel around for it? Probably not. You might find an 8-foot alligator under a bush out here. And rule number 1 is if you see a snake, like I said before, just leave him alone. Don't try to catch him, don't try to kill him, don't try to move him, because they're faster than you think. If you do have a negative encounter, if you do find yourself that you've gotten bit by a venomous snake anywhere, the best thing to do is get to the hospital. We always tell people the best snake bite kit in the world are your car keys and your cell phone, because that's what will get you to help.
At state parks, we like to teach the rule of thumb, is if you hold your thumb up to any wild animal and you don't completely cover it by your thumb, you're too close and you need to move back.
A healthy population of at least 250, 300 adult alligators, so that would be 6 feet or bigger. And there's no telling how many smaller ones there are, but they take care of their own population. There's plenty of food out there for them, birds, fish, turtles, and each other.
Every nest that is made by a female has between 30 and 60 eggs in it. Out of all those that hatch, only 1 to 2% survive to adulthood, sometimes 3. But it's very, very low numbers. So out of every 100 hatchlings, usually 1 to 3 are gonna make it, which is really low, but it's very important. A lot of things like birds and raccoons and coyotes and skunks and turtles and snakes eat them very frequently. They're a vital food source, and that's why they have so many, right? If all the alligators that were born managed to hatch and grow into adult alligators, we'd go up to our ears in alligators, And then when they grow old, they eat the things that ate their siblings when they were young. And so it's all a very important, balanced ecosystem, balanced circle.
Had a kind of a threatened level, but places like this allowed them to come back and thrive out in this, these ecosystems. But yeah, alligators, their size can be very intimidating, and so what we do as park rangers is teach people how to go out on the trail, so that way they know, they're educated about what they do when they see one, maintain a distance. When they sit there and with their mouth open, it's intimidating to see all those teeth.
Yeah, then you need to back up. So if one is draped across the path, or if one has a nest on the path, they're going to tell you that it's there. They're going to do a lot of hissing, making a lot of noise, growling a lot. Best not to try your luck. Alligators are naturally afraid of people, and they usually will leave them alone, but they will stand their ground when it comes to their nests. So if you can just back up slowly, don't turn your back to them, don't run or anything, just back up the way you came. And remember that rule of thumb that we talked about earlier, then you're gonna be okay. Stay at least 30 feet away from the alligators.
They come out of the egg ready to go, they got all their little teeth, and they're gonna get really whatever they can get their mouth on as far as like little tiny fish, insect larvae, things like that. But yeah, we've never had one accident with an alligator and a person. I think that's the #1 question we get asked. Am I safe going out there? The answer is yes, absolutely.
That's a wrap on our news for this week. Thank you for joining us. For everyone here at Stafford Weekly News, I'm Randall Williams. May all your news be good news. This program was produced on the Stafford campus of Houston Community College.